Hello. Sorry about that. So my name is Javier Dorriego. I'm currently an intern for Dr. John Mundorf's English ELA 8th grade class here at PK Young. So this is introductory video environment walkthrough assessment. Um, all right, so there's a lot to cover. I want to get it started right away. So I position the camera specifically so that you can see. I'm going to break up the video hopefully into walls because I think every wall specifically in this classroom has something that's not only imperative to how I want my classroom to be, but there's also a story that furthers the art of teaching. So right off the bat, I would like to bring out to the wall here. I don't know if I'm blocking the view. It's reversed, but it says speak clearly. All the way you'll see tell. If I'm gonna turn it a little bit more, tell your truth. Now these are two of four phrases that Dr. Mundorf has incorporated into his classroom. And this wall here serves as a space for students to develop their own little projects based off, this wall specifically is based off a poem that they deconstruct, then reconstruct. So right off the bat, we're already seeing, and this is just walking in right to the right immediate, you're seeing an investment and an ownership of students' work in a way that gets them equally invested in their learning. So as we go through here, you're going to see in this area down there, you're going to see a pile of books. I'm trying to point to it. Yeah, so you see this pile of books right there. That is their unit reading, not required reading, as in today's unit or lesson plan is going to be based off what we've read at home, the Diary of Anne Frank. That's all we're going to read. That's everyone's assignment. Embracing his philosophy and combining it with UDL, he's come up with a very important way to give all of his students an opportunity to not only have multiple instances of texts, but they get to choose which text they want from each unit. I'll get into the unit when we get to the wall that's currently behind the camera. As I have the camera now and I'm going to position it, I would like to bring to focus and attention the seating arrangements of the class. I'm going to go slowly, or at least I think slowly, and you will see that there are no rows, but there are a series of scattered chairs, scattered desks, seating over there in a corner, along the wall, by the Chrome box, alongside the long table where the books are, massive bookshelf, but you see the little corner desk right there. And then in the middle of it all, a round table. Essentially, the reason why this is important and it's a thing is that there is no assigned reading, there is no assigned seating in the classroom itself, which I think is extremely unique, very cool, very fun, and it gives the students a freedom of choice.
Attention students, I need Alyssa Williams, Antonia Williams.
All right, I think I've resumed it. Hopefully it wasn't too loud. It's directly under the speaker, so we'll see. So then, so this is concept of they get to sit wherever they want to sit. Now, naturally, you're going to have friends sitting with friends, and you would think that this creates a loud, boisterous environment that you will have a tendency for students to misbehave because their friends are right next to each other. But it creates quite an interesting dynamic. You limit the tables to 4 seats, and you also incorporate, the minute I saw it, my mind immediately shifted to feng shui, right? So in feng shui, there is this key component that there needs to be a flow through the classroom. And as I'm going to pick up this one more time, we're going to see that there is this flow. Put this down 1 second, sorry. Right here. There is this sense of flow between, there's ample space between the desks that Mundorf uses to walk through. There is we learned a technique that's by proximity. you get to move around the class, and if there's people or students that need help, or they're acting in a behavior that's not conductive to class, or they're going to go ahead, or conducive to class, I should say, you can go ahead and walk freely amongst the class, even though I think it's great because there's no rows of desks that I need to finagle around, and oh my goodness, the students in the last seat in the last row, man, it's gonna be a trek just trying to get to him, right? Well, no, now it's all free flowing. You can walk around, you can police the area, you can talk to students, or simply be near someone that's currently talking to their neighbor or just not following instructions. Or if someone has a question, you can quite easily go answer their question and continue with your class. I think that's pretty unique, something I definitely want to follow when I have my own classroom. All right, so now let's shift to this wall. So this wall we see, this is important because we're going back to what we have here. I have my little index cards to make sure I cover everything. Over here we have iPads. Here's our Chromebook, and even more texts. And along the wall, there's these personal posters that the students are assigned a prompt, and the students will then fill out their own individual answer to the prompt, and they'll be hung up alongside the window. Again, it pertains to this whole relationship. You're fostering a relationship with your students. Whoops. Still going. Just a little too steep, that angle, I guess. So you're fostering a relationship. One of the prompts says, what do you want your teacher to know about you? And then you fill that out, and you're already starting, as a teacher, you're starting to figure out important information about your students, and you get to build that bond. There's more saying, what do you want your classmates to know about you? Now you're building a bond with each other. Something new, something you look forward to learning. There's already this nurturing of you're here to learn, but we also want to make sure you want to learn, which I think is very unique to this entire school. So moving forward, we have that. The iPads, I mentioned the iPads. They're first generation iPads. They're fantastic, they're wonderful. They're great devices that Dr. Mundorf uses to incorporate audiobooks into his lessons. Every unit book, for the most part, has an audiobook that goes along with it. So if you have a student, and we have a couple, no names, but we have one that has ADHD. If this student's having a problem reading this text, the text is intimidating, the text is quite complicated, and he's not there yet, well, he can easily walk up, request the audiobook, it'll be set up for him with the headphones, no distraction, he's into his reading, he's into learning, and he's not felt that he's not feeling that he's at a disadvantage because he's reading an audio or hearing an audiobook. So that's one great way that technology is now being incorporated into this classroom. Chromebox, I should say, is another incredible tool that I've never thought possible due to how the situation was when I was a teacher. I think it's incredible. So what happens is the students are presented with information. They're taught a lesson, they're taught a text, they're asked questions that deepen their thought. And as they're having these thought-provoking questions, and they're coming up with answers and all this stuff, not only are they talking amongst themselves in these desks that we mentioned here, this desk of 4, they're also uploading it into their school-assigned Chromebook. Now their school-assigned Chromebook connects to the web, which connects to the cloud, that gets uploaded, saved, and all that information gets sent to Dr. Mundorf for him to make his own assessments to track, okay, how is so-and-so thinking these thoughts through? Am I losing so-and-so in this area of text? What's going on with it? Oh, wow, there's some interesting connections made here. And you get to monitor and assess students all through this incredible gift that this Chromebook technology and online database gives you. I think that this is something I see a lot of schools shifting towards giving their students iPads, giving their students notebooks. I feel like you're at a severe disadvantage if you do not implement this technique. It's a fantastic way to not only check what everyone's writing and doing at the same time, he has access to all their screens, but I think it's also a great way to just track and monitor progress. You get students filling in information, and as the year goes on, they can look back on their previous work, and before you know it, you have a portfolio that just came out of nowhere. So very, very cool, very, very awesome. As I said, more textbooks on the left-hand side. I know you can't see them, but this angle got a little too steep. But yeah, so you see there's a whole bunch of books here, and now we're gonna shift towards the other wall. And this wall has a lot of information on it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and hopefully not give everyone watching motion sickness. And we're gonna go try to see what happens here. Okay, still rolling, so we're good. All right, so right here we have this amazing project he did that the students picked their favorite book that they learned or read throughout the school year, and they designed their own personal cover to it. I think that's amazing. Not only does it create a deeper bond between the student and the text, but it gives students, and there's a lot specifically in this class I found, it gives these students a chance to express their artistic curiosities and stuff like that. I think that's a unique outlet. Right here we have two important factors to look at. The first one being, this is a unique thing that he's done, Dr. Mundorf is currently reading, and then it's his books. I think this is a great way to bond even further with your students. I'm assigning you reading, but at the same time I'm doing it myself. I got my own reading that I'm doing, you know, it's because reading is fun. And then over here we have the actual, I'll get into this a little later, but the behavioral management policies for school, for PK Young. It's the 4 R's. I know it might be backwards, but it's responsible, respectful, resilient, and ready. And if a student is not following these prompts, the teacher is allowed to go ahead and enact some sort of correction to the misbehavior. To continue the train of thought, at the beginning of the video, we saw speak clearly. On the other side, tell your truth, read critically, and now write consciously. Those are those 4 dynamics. So then here, this is really important too, we have the unit lesson plan, I guess. Unit lesson. What can a person's lived experiences reveal about a larger societal issue? Every unit, it's a new question. This is incredible. It's taking critical inquiry and UDL to just incredible limits, and I'll break everything back little by little, piece by piece. I just want to make sure I get the whole board, and then I can put this thing down. Down here, it's just new books that he's ordered for his class. You know, I think that's really cool. If you have the budget and you have the financial means to do so, and the interest, go ahead and do it. You know, you're building your library, which is building the library of all your students for years and years to come. Over here, we have the agenda for today. I'll talk more about it later, how he structures his class. But there's 15 minutes of independent reading, a video that we saw, The Dangers of a Single Story. Central idea and author's purpose is extremely important because this ties directly into the Florida State Standards. And then your Unit 1 book, which is down there. At the end of the day, once all is covered, that time is yours to read your text that you selected for this unit's lesson. And then what you're working on, your overall goal for the week, what we're working on this week. Using text-based evidence, central idea and an author's purpose, literary nonfiction novels, and a listening project that's going to come in later on in the week. And then to tie in a little bit later, we have how the grading and assessment process goes. So it's based on standards and mastery. This is completely new to me. I'm used to A, B, C, D, E, F. I mean, well, no E, but F. This is completely different. It's all about where you are in approaching the standard mastery. Are you mastering the standard? Are you demonstrating proficiency? Are you approaching your proficiency, or are you just not proficient right now? And it's all a matter of percentages. I think, I'm gonna move and put this back. I think, oh, and last thing real quick, projection screen. Sorry, right there. So he has a projector right there set up so that when he's watching videos in class, he can actually just set up his video and put it there, and then that's what's going to get him and the students seeing these different forms of text. We're pushing 14 minutes. I'm going to try to speed it up. It's a lot to process just because it's all awesome and it's all unique and it's all neat and new. Anyways, going back across, and it should cover a lot of what's on these index cards. We talked about the assessment plans and the grading. 75%, 50, 25, and then 0%, the mastery, you're approaching mastery, you're demonstrating proficiency, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is cool because it's tough because you're fighting a system that's been installed for years, the ABCs, everyone fights for the A's and the B's and the C's, and then they feel that they're only as valuable as their letter grade. But getting away from the letter grade and approaching the letter essentially is meaningless. It's just a letter that's assigned to you because you're approaching perfection, right? But all we're trying to install here with teaching is we want you to be confident and master the standard. That's what we want you to do. We want to make sure that this is how we grade your success when you move on with your educational career in life. And I think it's a tough battle. A lot of people aren't used to it. We've seen students that are like, is this graded? Is this? And there's this panic behind the A, B, C, D, E. And we're just trying to ease away from that and just get you focused on, hey, are you mastering this talent, or are you mastering this standard or not? Are you proficient at it? Let's try to get you to a certain level. Moving on, we're working on this week. So we're using text-based evidence, central idea, the central idea of a text, and the author's purpose, and literary nonfiction novels. This ties right into what a person's lived experiences reveal about a larger societal issue. You're forming the unit plan into a lesson that will get students involved, curious, and seeking to answer it themselves. It's almost like a Socratic method. You're getting them asking a question, and now that because of that question existing, they want to now answer it. And when it's something framed so personal, like it's a person's life experience of revealing something greater about this societal issue, it now becomes personal to them. It's like, oh man, my grandmother went through XYZ. My father did this and that. The other day, I was in the convenience store and this happened to me. It's these little moments that are getting these students intrigued into the prompt. And then you have the textbooks, which there's a bunch. There really is a bunch. I think I do you a disservice by not showing you it. Plus, I'm very excited about all of them. There's a bunch. There's quite literally a bunch. This is all just for this one unit. And you'll see one of my favorite elements that he incorporates is that you'll see comic books, graphic novels, but you'll see them. And you have students that are just not, their attention span is just not there for reading these long, lengthy texts or these dated texts. So for them, the beautiful imagery behind a comic book and the way it just turns and turns and turns pages and just hooks them with the fact that, hey, it's a graphic novel, it just grabs and reels in so many other students. That just printed page, sadly, just doesn't cut it for every student. So it goes back into this universal design for learning. So that each of those books is exactly that, is a person's lived experience revealing a larger societal issue. I have taken it upon myself to already read 2 of those. I've finished Hey Kiddo. It's great, but it's exactly that. It's this author's lived experience of dealing with family members abused, his mother specifically being a drug addict, and how his lived experience reveals what it's like, what's going through this process of addiction and trying to better something. Very, very good. So now I'm going to continue on to school context. PK Young, English Language Arts, 8th grade, like I said. What makes PK Young very unique is how the students get into PK Young. It also reflects the demographic of the students. It's kind of like a twofer, and I'll explain that right now. It's publicly funded, K through 12 school, funded by the FDE, positioned in the College of Education's at UF. That's that little nugget of the school context. However, the school population is selected by lottery, represents Florida's racial and income demographics. This is super cool and super neat. Students commute from more than 30 surrounding small and rural North Florida cities and towns. It's nuts. He mentioned it in our first interview. I didn't believe him. I've seen it firsthand. It's wild. You're gonna have people that come from farm country type vibe, and then you're gonna have this super uber liberal education. My whole family is in college and in higher education, and you're gonna have these two people mixing, and it's gonna be people from every other wide gamut and spectrum, and it's just a beautiful melting pot of all these kids together. So when you have a class that revolves around thinking and critical inquiry and all this different types of thought process, and you have them talk with one another, it's wild. They're getting things that they will never they'll never be able to get anywhere else. Um, we spoke about the grading policy, and then lastly, how would I change? I'm gonna try to make this quick. I'm already approaching 20 minutes, so I'm gonna try to make this a little bit quicker. Organize, allocate, and manage my time. Better than this video, I hope. I wouldn't change much. I like the flow. I like the way he regulates time. Everything is very structured. 15 minutes of independent reading. You have your video. You have a discussion. There's a brain break, and there's this structure. Structure is important. I wanted to keep that. The students get high expectations the minute they walk through the door. They're told what they should do and what we're expecting of them, and then we let them decide how they're doing from there. Students are told to respect other students and respecting the cultural, linguistic, and family backgrounds. All of this is part of the 4 R's that I showed you earlier. We're also held accountable to that. Maintaining a climate of openness, I already spoke about that. Students are free to speak their mind. It's a free zone, no judgment zone. You have kids from all this melting pot coming together to talk together and think that's phenomenal, and we respect that, and we actually want to encourage that. I would like to do the same thing in my future. Integrating current technology and tech and adapting the environment to meet the diversity of students and utilizing current and emerging assistive tech. We talked about that. Audiobooks, that's insane to target kids with ADHD, making sure that it's not just hand text, they have the ability to go into the Chromebook. They can find a way to get an ebook. They can find a way to literally go onto the website, and your entire unit plan is in the PK Young website under ELA 8th grade, under Dr. Mondor. You missed a class, something happened, we got you covered. It's right there. You're good to go. I would love to incorporate that same thing. So yeah, it's kind of, I feel like I'm cheating. I would change nothing. There's nothing, I would change nothing. It's all so perfect, and being here and experiencing it for myself is just out of this world. So I hope that covers it. 21:50, probably 22 minutes. Sorry, I'm 2 minutes over. I hope I covered everything, and I hope this works out. And I'll see you either in class or in the next video.